Hey guys, welcome back to the Magic Table. I am Stephen Bowman, your host, and with me today is Daniel Caballero. I always jack up his name. Sorry, brother.
It's okay. You'll get it one day.
Yeah, one day I'll get it.
Plenty of practice.
And we got Sean Myers on the soundboard. He's got a mic now, and we're excited to have him included.
Thank you, sir.
So guys, let's talk some cards, man.
Let's talk some cards. Time to upgrade a game.
Time to upgrade your game, guys. All right, so today's topic is politics, man.
Politics? I thought we weren't going to be political on
Yeah,
this.
no, I know. But we're not going to be talking about any kind of actual voting or anything
Actual
like
politics.
that. No actual politics today.
But I feel like there are those kind of cards within a deck. You can make people vote.
Yeah, there are. And I haven't played a whole lot of those. Oh, apparently I've got something on my hair. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soundman.
It's raining outside.
It's raining outside, so we're making do with what we got.
Okay.
So I wanted to bring up the idea of politics today and kind of like my take on how we manage politics. I want to talk about a net gain effect with politics.
I like this. A lot of business terms in it.
Yeah. So whenever we're playing a game and there's 4 people at the table, me and then 3 opponents, or you and 3 opponents, we want to do things in a way that lead us to the greatest chance of victory, right? And one of those ways is managing our opponents.
This is true. You gotta be able to play a table right.
Yeah, you got to be able to play the table right. So in poker, you can't interact with your opponent as much as you can in, say, Magic or in chess. So in that way, it's different than poker. You can just read your opponent. Well, now we get to jack up our opponent's thing, whatever it is they're doing.
Exactly. Mess with them.
Yeah. So one of the classic examples is I Doomblade your 9/9 Hydra. Well, if I Doomblade your 9/9 Hydra, I've gotten rid of the threat to me.
But now I'm upset.
Now he's upset, and so I have to deal with that.
Back at him.
Now he wants to get back with me, get back at me. However,
Unless you're a super turn the other cheek kind of player.
No, I'm not. I'm really, really not that anti-salt.
He destroyed my biggest creature. I'll let it slide.
No, that ain't how it works. However, though, if I Doomblade your 9/9 whenever you're attacking Sean, now Sean's grateful and you're upset. So not only have I taken care of the biggest threat to me, I've also saved Sean's bacon, and so now I've got taken care of, protected myself, which is a 1, and I've taken care of Sean, which is another +1. Whereas in a -1 there, I've got a total net gain of +1. It's not exact science, but a +1 political at the table.
So the overall point being that instead of using your Doomblade to only piss me off and kill my biggest creature and cause an enemy, at that point in time you're losing the value behind that Doomblade because now you just became a target almost.
Right.
And instead you're going to use it to protect somebody else. So now while you're making an enemy, you possibly have another shield that could return the favor.
Yeah. So basically, you're taking your limited resources of cards in your hand and being able to actually gain political favor with the opponents that you've got at the table.
Now, with that being said, politics is obviously, as most people can see, a nasty game to play. You can always save, say, Sean from my 9/9 Hydra, and then immediately Sean could then come back and take you while you're weak and have less of a counter.
It's not an exact science, man. Sometimes your Sean is the chaos wild card, as we like to call him at the table.
I think we should call him Steven the Chaos Wild. I feel like you would be the one to do that before anyone.
I don't know. I think Sean's jacked up more people with his wildness.
Sean has this really cool infect deck that while he could do a lot of these political types of, I'm going to hit you to where you have 1 or 2 more chances to take an infect counter before you die. He's already an enemy, but now instead of finishing him off, he'll want to go and infect somebody else.
Yeah, and sometimes Sean gets hit real hard because everybody's like 9 points of infect, and he's just gonna get murdered. Everybody's gonna dogpile on him.
So that is a negative political effect,
That is a
I would
negative.
say.
It's actually in your favor to just finish off that person.
Yes.
So then you don't have to worry about any kind of negative political
Very good
effect.
example of negative political effect.
That
because
is
in
certainly.
doing so, you pretty much burn the bridges to everybody on the field and
Yeah.
become the main target. That is
Right.
something you don't want to do.
And that's typically the problem with most aggro strategies is you have enough points of damage to kill one person, but killing 4 people at the table, I mean, everybody has 40 health. In a traditional Magic game, everybody has 20. But now that we have 40, it's so much harder to
the
kill
commander
everybody.
concept.
In the commander concept, it's so much harder to do 120 points of damage as opposed to 20.
Yes.
So
However,
much harder.
He definitely likes the infect, and I know he's made it in the traditional 20 health regular Magic format. However, if he makes that in a commander format,
It's still hard. It's an uphill battle, but you've only got 40 points of damage or 30 points of damage as opposed to 120 points of damage you get to put out. So Infect is a lot more likely to succeed as an aggro deck, but it's still an uphill battle.
Of course, of course.
But anyway, back to politics. I wanted to bring an example today of how to board wipe politically. Yeah. So in the example that I'm going to set up for you guys, imagine somebody at the table has a bunch of 1/1 tokens. Somebody over here has a 6/6 that's gnarly as all get out. And this person over here has got a couple 3/3s, a couple 2/2s, and I've got a 5/5. Now, if I play Dusk and Dawn to get rid of this 6/6 and all these 3/3s over here, Dusk and Dawn says destroy each creature with power 3 or greater. Well, in my situation, the person with the really big creature over here is obviously mad at me. But the person with all these little 1/1 tokens over here, they don't care. They didn't lose a thing. So they're happy that the big guy's gone. So I've got a negative count over here. I've got a positive over here because this guy no longer has to deal with this 9/9. This guy over here may have lost half his board and kept half his board. So it's 50-50 odds at whether or not he's going to have a positive or negative effect because this guy over here, whether or not he could deal with that 9/9 is situational. So you've got a negative here, you got a positive here, and a maybe over here, and then a net positive here. So you've got 2 positive, 1 negative, and a potential positive or negative. So you could split it 50-50 for the net gain, or you could outright just get a 3-for-1 basically out of the situation.
Of course.
So politically, I think a Dusk and Dawn is better than, say, a, what do you call it? Day of Judgment or Wrath of God in this particular situation because you can plan who's going to be your enemy next. And so that's why I'm bringing up the whole idea of politics and that net gain is because if you can manage and keep track of, okay, I've made this person mad in this situation, but I made him happy in this situation, maybe over time you can balance out what it is, you know, like your negative effects on the board. And this is all to buy you time to pull off your strategy and to overwhelm the opponents.
Now, with some of these cards, I know there's other cards digging even deeper into that politics concept. There's cards that we said could vote. You could get people to vote. I know I have one personally. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it even says chooses friend or foe for everyone on the field.
Right.
Now, do you think that doing a positive friendship for everybody, allowing everybody to have some form of benefit from this card that you're laying down, would that all be net positive or would that be almost negative because you're boosting everybody to then be able to have an advantage on you?
And it really depends on, so whenever you're giving, so one of those things that there's a strategy called pillow, not pillow fort, it's
Pillow fight?
No. Pillow fight sounds way more fun. No, there's not cuddle buddies. What do they call that?
That's my deck, bro.
That's your deck. I'm sorry. There's one where group hug is the name of the strategy, and it's basically a person like gives everybody at the table extra card draw, extra this, extra life gain, whatever it may be, extra, and that person doesn't normally win because their strategy is so obscure that it's like one of kind of copy in the deck kind of win. So that kind of person, that giving other people an advantage at your expense, you have to have a way down the line to deal with that threat or that card advantage or whatever it is you're giving away. So a great example of this is if you're making everybody draw cards with like Howling Mind or Dictative Krufix, doing things like Underworld Dreams. Underworld Dreams is a 3-drop enchantment that says whenever your opponent would draw a card, deal 1 damage to them. So if they're drawing 2 cards a turn, they're taking an insidious 2 points of damage, and everybody's taking it. So making, if you're going to give an advantage away, make it to where it hurts them. For instance, I think in one of the cases you're talking about, it's giving people 1/1 creatures. You say friend or foe at the table. Well, Suture Priest says whenever an opponent would have a creature enter the battlefield under their control, they take 1 point they lose 1 life, right? Well, if you're giving away creatures, that's fine. That's perfectly cool with me. Oh, you're getting a creature, but you're taking 1 point of damage. Later on, I'm going to board wipe, and it's not going to be a big deal. And so giving away that stuff, you have to balance that on the positive side. Like, I want to build clout with everybody, not seem like a threat.
Yeah.
You have to, on the backside, be able to deal with the thing you're giving away.
Of course.
So
very interesting concept. Another example I can maybe say, a contradiction, I guess. There are other cards who require coin flips, dice rolls.
Right.
Very political cards that could help or hurt, hinder you or others by these chances that make it not up to you. How effective do you call those versus ones that allow you to choose?
Card flips are almost always going to be negative. In my experience, every time that I've seen card flips, coin flipping cards.
I was like, is there a card flip mechanism in this?
Yeah. So if you win, but I don't lose, I still don't like that you chose me. But if I lose and say you don't win, then I've just lost and you've just targeted me anyway. I don't care. I don't care if it was a coin flip or not. You made me lose. So in my history, I've always seen coin flips like, oh, it's just fate. Yeah, no, they still hate me afterwards.
Exactly.
One of the ways that I've seen people do it in our group especially is we've rolled to see who we attack. We've done that quite a bit.
It always ends up being me for some reason.
It always ends up being Daniel. But it is interesting to see that. People don't typically stay with that once the board state has really established itself. But it is a pretty interesting mechanic that everybody throughout the night has to roll the dice on who they're attacking for the game.
I do like that.
It's a fun mechanic. However, I do want to talk about there's some cards that you can do in defensive politics.
Okay.
For instance, one of the best ones that I can think of is Ghostly Prison or Propaganda. It's the same card, but one's in white, one's in blue. 3-drop enchantment says creatures your opponents control, it costs 2 mana for each creature your opponent would attack you with, basically. Those kinds of cards are great on the defense, so you can start doing those negative political things like board wiping or like Doomblade or stuff like that, and still protect yourself. So you can go heavier into your negative political points, as it were, because you've got this big wall of you have to expend mana just to attack. Oh, look at all the other people. You don't have to spend mana to attack. So now you've forced them into a corner.
That's true. I like that.
Another way of looking at that is called Curse of Predation. Curse of Predation, I believe, is like a 3 or 4 drop that says whenever an opponent or whenever a creature attacks cursed player, it gets a 1/1 counter. I believe that's in green. But the thing is that now you're encouraging everybody to dogpile on this one guy. There's another one that says when a creature attacks this cursed person, you get a treasure token, so now you get some mana ramp out of it.
Yeah.
That's an $8 card for a 1-drop red card. It's fantastic. So those are really, really great. Another great mechanic that I love for political reasons is like Besearch. Until your next turn, every creature is goaded, which means they have to attack, and they have to attack somebody
other than you.
I love Besmirch.
I have goad in one of my commander decks that is a control deck. I will take somebody else's creature, take control of it, and have to goad it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that card. I forget
else.
what it is. It's like basically... it's basically an act of treason, and then the next turn it's goaded. So not only do you steal it from them, smack somebody with it, then on their turn they have to smack somebody else. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
Yeah. Some really, I wanted to talk about, though, Vow of Flight is another one that's like more of a permanent goad. It says, it's not quite goad. Vow of Flight is gives an enchanted creature +2/2 and flying, and must attack somebody other than you.
Okay.
So you can
use that ability to get around some other creatures as
right.
well.
So you can enchant your own creature, give your thing 2/2 and flying, or you can enchant an opponent's creature. They get a boost, but it can't smack you with it. So it's super great. Another one that those are the vow, what I call the vow cycle. Really, really great. Some of the global offensive ones that are going to just get you murdered. Want to warn you about these. Mana Barbs. Mana Barbs is a 4-drop enchantment that says whenever you tap a land for mana, whenever any player taps a land for mana, they deal 1 point of damage to themselves. You're going to get murdered.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly if you put that into play. So use at your own risk. Another one that's very similar is Burning Earth. Whenever a player taps a non-basic land for mana, deals 1 damage. So
and these are players, so this is including yourself.
Including yourself. It's a very, very goblin thing to do. The last one I want to mention on this completely global offensive, but this one's probably wiser, is Blood Moon. Blood Moon says all non-basics are mountains. So you completely shut people out of their colors.
Wow.
So if you've got a Bloodfell Caves, now it only taps for red.
Are there some like that for every color?
No, these are specifically the red ones that I looked up. There are other ones that do similar things, like for instance,
like you can't make everyone island or swamp or anything with other colors.
No, Blood Moon's the only effect like that in the game. However, there are ones that say choke.
Yeah.
Choke is like a 3-drop enchantment.
I know choke.
1 green, 2 colors. Islands don't untap. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love to hate me some blue players, man.
Definitely things that will get you murdered.
Yeah, but the nice thing about Blood Moon, as opposed to the other 2 I mentioned, was that now if you've board wiped and now you play Blood Moon, that means now they're likely not going to be able to reestablish a board presence because you've shut them out of their mana.
Yes.
So although it has a highly targeted negative effect, Blood Moon does, people who haven't fetched up any basics are going to be basically shut out of the game.
That is ridiculously powerful.
Yeah, you might want to ask your play group before you do that. You might get people mad.
There are some people, I know we ourselves have a few banned cards and decks that might include some infinite combos within our play group, but
I think we have pretty much banned infinite combos in our play group. I don't know of anybody that plays one.
We have a few who say that they're not too scared to go up against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have like one-of copies of infinite combos, but whenever you start getting into the $1,000 deck range is where you can search that combo up a lot more frequently, or
my infinite combo is $1,000.
What was your infinite combo?
I believe it is Duskmailed Guildmage.
Oh, yeah.
Duskmantle Guildmage and Mind Crank. It is a mill infinite combo. As soon as I start it, you're either going to mill your deck to 0 or you're going to go down to 0.
Some great tech for you green players out there. Play yourself a copy of Gaia's Blessing. 1 green, 1 colorless. If it goes
Sean
in the
has
graveyard.
to tell you about infinite combos.
Yeah, what do you got there, Sean? What do you include, buddy?
I know I'm one of the people in the group that is not scared of your infinite combo.
No, I know you're not.
I want to see it at least once, and then put it in your keepsake box.
I know Mickey had an infinite combo at one point that was a infinite turns combo.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a land base where he would proliferate these Aeon counters on his land, and I forget the name of that card, but yeah, he did. And I helped him put that together, much to my
You told me about mine as well. What do you mean? I believe you told me about the infinite combo I made for my mill deck.
Oh, yeah, I'm probably did. I don't know. I don't know. I sometimes forget these things. So the infinite combos, if you can establish the infinite combo and then kill people that turn, they're just glad that you got it done quickly and you didn't drag it out. Usually,
we made the game go by quick. It was cool to see. Now let's start a real one.
Yeah. Now, okay, good. You win. Good job. Now let's move on, shall we?
Now before we move on from the global politics cards, I wanted to ask about if you recommend and or could suggest any, I guess, neutrally political cards. Like I remember we played recently where you had a card that made everybody play with their hand revealed. That I can see as a very neutral aspect of politics, because not only was it everybody else, it was you as well. So we were able to see everybody's hand. We could know where was going on. That made it a very even battlefield that was very open. So what do you think about that? I
think the neutral political cards, like for instance, I would call what do you call it? Howling Mine.
And what is that card that you with?
That was Telepathy. Was a 1 blue enchantment. It says your opponents play with their hands revealed. So you're the only
Literally
one that
started
doesn't.
on the first draw.
Yeah, I was just like, I ripped it right off the top. I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna do this.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But another one is Howling Mine. Everyone's drawing 2 cards a turn. It speeds games up.
I like that.
I do like that. Those kind of neutral cards like that. I think a lot of people enjoy playing against it. It does have the detriment that now your opponents are doing things faster than you can probably respond to. So that's the detrimental effect, but it will end the game faster, make it a lot more fun for everybody.
I do see that.
Yeah. So I wanted to run through the last little list of, kind of the cause and effect, because we all basically know what the cause and effect are. I destroy the biggest creature. The other players say thank you. I destroy all creatures. All the players rebuild their board and they swing at me, kind of thing. I destroy an enchantment or artifact that everyone hates. Everybody typically thanks me. I destroy all artifacts and enchantments. The person with the most artifacts and enchantments hates me. But that's targeted because usually that person is playing into that archetype of artifacts and enchantments. The rest of the table isn't. So now you've got a net positive effect because 2 of the 3 opponents now are saying, thank goodness you destroyed all enchantments. Thank goodness you destroyed all artifacts. So I highly recommend doing those kinds of things. Like Tempest of Light is a instant, 1 white, 2 colorless that'll destroy all enchantments. And then Creeping Corrosion is a 2 green, 2 colorless green that says destroy all artifacts. And so those are good cards to be playing. If you destroy all lands, no one's going to play with you. I think I had a destroy all land deck, and everybody played it like one time, and then they're like, dude, did you seriously just do that to us all? It's very demoralizing.
Yes.
Things that your opponents don't care about and are typically neutral is whenever you draw cards and gain life. So now we want to talk about like drawing cards are one of those neutral things as well. So if you're drawing like 1 extra card a turn, so a total of 2 for the turn, most people aren't going to really like get upset or target you or anything.
They're not going to notice.
Not going to notice. However, if you start drawing 5 cards a turn, you got a big bullseye in your back suddenly.
Yes, the more you draw, I feel like definitely the smarter players are going to take, the poker players are definitely going to take a notice because they're going to be keeping an eye on everything you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you'll notice the more seasoned players will start interacting with the card draw and preventing it if they can. Another one that I want to bring up is draining life. Like for instance, extort is one of my favorite mechanics in like
Extort's great.
It's a budget mechanic. I feel like works really great in these formats.
Especially if you can, compound that to do it very often.
Yeah. So the cheaper spells, you're paying 1 extra mana, getting the extra life gain. Now people aren't going to notice too much 1 life a turn until they get down into the 10-point range.
Yes.
Then the 20 point, the 10 point, then it's going to start mattering. However, in the 30s and the 40s, they're not going to really matter too much.
Especially with that commander format. If you're in like a traditional, is it modern that does the 20?
Modern does, yeah. Standard,
yeah. Those are going to be a lot more detrimental when you have those because you have half the life to start.
Yeah. And but things like Debt to the Deathless is a sorcery that's 2 black, 2 white, and X. Each opponent loses double X life, and you gain the amount of life lost this way. So if everybody lost 5 life and there's 4 people at the table, then that means each person, or you pay X is 5, each person loses 10, and you gain 30, which is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so that's when you start getting noticed, like Grey Merchant of Asphodel, those kinds of things. It's certainly get a target on your back. One last thing I want to mention, this is kind of a tangential thing, is that there is a bigger political game in Magic. Whenever you have a play group, especially during just getting out of COVID and your friend group is much smaller, you can't go out and make new friends as easily, is knowing...
I'm not saying that you can't make new friends. All of you
should try. You should. I mean, and if you can, great. I am incapable. Powering your decks to fit your play group will help you get invited back. So, for instance, we've had a couple new guys who've brought some really big, powerful decks. Yeah.
I think it's not even tangible. I think that it lines up perfectly with politics because even like we don't need to get into legitimate politics, but there are people out there that, they don't like. People don't like people nowadays, whether it's you're on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah.
If you're bringing a deck that's just going to wipe the floor with everybody, anybody sitting at that table knows that you are winning automatically. it's not fun. Nobody's gonna like you. Why would you be invited back? You know,
Yeah.
why would they want to play with that over and over and over again? So it's very similar to I'm a big gamer. I like playing video games. So it's like bringing your Smurf to be able to play with some of these people.
Right.
It's not even no one should ever look at that as in, oh, I'm not at my full potential. Oh, then
Right.
I'm not bringing the best I can bring. No, you want to look at it as though like it's a compliment to you itself. If you
Yeah.
have to dial down your moves
Right.
in order to play with some of these other people, that's great. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want. You want to have a fun time because at the end of the day, like unless you're playing competitive, which I mean, if you can, if you
By all
have
means,
those
yeah.
cards, if you can make that money and you're like this guy and have that mind, go do it. Go play competitive. Do good. But that's where your big decks should be at.
Right.
If you're playing with your friends that maybe you don't get together and play that often,
They don't
be
have a
fair.
huge budget like that. Like we have some people that don't have this large budget.
yes.
And we have a community of commons and uncommons that we like get to share a little bit of, and
For
so we're really excited to help people out in that way.
For the first year or two of my Magic career, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people, you're either buying pre-cons, you're buying 1,000 card bricks that you're just
Yeah.
shuffling through to find something, and you're making what you can. You're not making what is the best potential
Right.
because obviously you're going to be dropping a lot of money to get that kind of potential. There is a pay to play and a pay
Aspect,
to win
yeah.
kind of aspect to this. Now, that's when, again, in the politics, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the
No.
guy that pays to beat everyone every time. You just
Yeah.
want to play to have fun. So
Give
that's
yourself
just our
50-50
PSA
odds.
to everybody. You
Yeah.
know, have a good time, make some friends.
Yeah, certainly. And one of the ways that I'm
Don't beat
targeting
up
to,
on 'em.
yeah, no kidding. One of the ways that I'm targeting that is my next deck is going to be a commander deck that's 100 cards, and 10 of my cards can be rare. Everything else has to be common and uncommon.
That goes great into what we're talking about. Tell us more about what you're working on.
So one of my pet decks that I'm working on is Svella. Svella is a new card, I believe, from Kaldheim.
This is a commander format.
This is commander
deck?
format,
Okay.
yeah. She's a legendary, uncommon, so she's super budget. She says that she's 1 green, 1 red, and 1 colorless. She'll tap for 3 colorless to put basically a mana rock out in play.
Wow.
And what she'll do is you just put a bunch of these mana rocks over time into play, building up your mana base. Then she has an 8 activation, 1 green, 1 green, 1 red, and a 6 colorless that says, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may cast those cards this turn.
Wow.
So
Crazy good.
and there's a bunch of common and uncommon Eldrazi that do some pretty gross stuff.
Eldrazi's are nasty, man.
Yeah.
We've had a friend that's made a complete Eldrazi deck, and
It's
that was
not-
just one of the ones
not
that
fun.
aren't very fun, and you don't get invited back to the table with.
Yeah. Cards that go well. I mean, there's all kinds of cool things. That's what I'm working on to make like that Smurf deck.
Your next commander. That's going to be fun to play. I'm really excited to look to
Yeah, man.
face
Me
it.
too, man. Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys for coming out to the Magic Table. Hopefully we upgraded your game a little bit today. Thank you, Daniel, for hanging out and chatting with me.
Thank you.
Sean, you've been awesome as usual. And thank you guys so much. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. If you guys have anything that you're working on, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to know what you kind of questions you have.
Leave it down in the comments if it's something that we can talk about. We'd love to talk about it with y'all one day.
Yeah. Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Deuces.